Good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you may be listening us, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Onward to Victory podcast by Giant Killer. I'm Joe Samansky. He's my friend Palmer Johnson over here. And Palmer, I really can't be that angry, Palmer. And it's not because of Mason basketball, Palmer, but the fact is, Palmer, I'm still running on the high of USA hockey, beating Canada yesterday, winning the gold medal. I'm still on that high, Palmer. So even though I'm very, very mad at George Mason men's basketball right now, I can't be yelly, Palmer. I can't do that. That would ruin my vibe. And you're not the yelling type. So you can't really do that either. But we have to talk about it, Palmer. Mason has now lost four of their last five games, including three straight, since falling to Richmond about a week, just over 2 weeks ago. Just be 2 weeks ago tomorrow now. Since then, Mason has also obviously lost both games to GW and then to Dayton last week. Got their ass kicked in both. It looks like there's no uphill from here, Palmer. You think it can't get worse, and it just kind of seems like it gets worse every time. Palmer, you're the stats guy, you're the numbers guy. You're also one of the best basketball watchers I know, best and most knowledgeable people about the sport of college basketball I know. Palmer, that's you. What do you think is the number one issue here? What's gone wrong?
The offense is playing similar to how it played last year, but there isn't this crazy defense backing it up. The defense is just kind of fine, and it's not fine. It was fine, and now it's not fine. Like it's bad, bad. I mean, they've it's. I mean, teams are scoring in the 80s and 70s and 80s, and they're not really playing any faster than normal. Like there's some serious problems here.
Certainly, the Corey Mincy injury, Palmer, that certainly seems to be the catalyst here. Ever since he hurt his thumb in the game against Duquesne, it's really just been downhill from there for George Mason. The fact of the matter is, Palmer, should Mincy really be playing through this? The fact of the matter is he has not been able to score really in any of the games since he got hurt. He has not looked effective. He has not looked confident. And the fact is, Palmer, the man is not a great defender. He is not above enough an average defender where if he's not scoring, he is contributing to this team. So I think maybe the next question is this right now, Palmer. Should he be playing basketball right now?
Well, you hope. The answer is until he can be a 40% shooter and can get to the rim, he shouldn't be. He's listed at 6'2". That's a stretch. It's so hard to be a good defender if you don't have adequate size because screens just get you thrown around. And Mincy looks like he's trying, but the off-ball defense is pretty bad. I feel like a lot of times, like I see somebody gets wide open off ball and is like, oh, Mincy's looking at him. It's like that was probably his guy, or he'll get there like half a second late. It's like, yeah, that was his guy. Uh, yeah, I mean he's kind of regressed down to like an average offensive player, and that just can't happen when you're a minus defender. His
Absolutely.
playmaking is yeah,
Yeah, keep going, Palmer. Keep going. Please keep
his
going.
playmaking has also dropped. He was kind of a pseudo. I mean, he was kind of a point guard only because he's 6'1", but like a thing of him like a combo guard. And now his assist rate has dropped to like true like wing playmaker. Like Fat Hills is higher, and Fat Hill has a higher assist rate in conference play now. So that's just kind of fallen down to earth.
Yeah, a lot of bad there, Palmer. Not a lot of positive numbers there for sure. But we also have to think we have to talk about Riley Allensbach, Palmer. I think a lot of his weaknesses have been exposed in the last couple of weeks. Certainly, I think if you want to talk issues defensively and particularly in the paint, it feels like you almost have to start with the issues he's had.
Yeah, I mean, we knew coming into the season that Allensbach wasn't a great defender. We also didn't know that he'd be this prolific of an offensive play, just kind of a hub. Uh, and he was like that for the first 20 games. Uh, and then since then it's been pretty rough. Uh, Allensbach would get doubled a lot, and he would just barely not turn the ball over. Like he'd just barely pull it to himself, and those guys are coming like half a second earlier and getting that ball now. Uh, yeah, I mean it's so much to ask from a guy to play like 13 minutes a game to be now like an offensive hub, but I mean he did it for a while. Uh, it's I think a major problem is that anybody they put at the four, if they put Dole out there at the four, like in theory you have a fine defensive kind of you can make up for Allensbach, but that just hasn't how it's worked out. Dola's struggled to defend him like his own, and he definitely has not been good enough to make up for Allensbach.
Mhm. Yeah, that's certainly been I think the four. I mean, if you want to go to the next problem, it's the four position. Like no one has been able to take that over since really kind of taking it away from Dola. That Tony Skinn did about halfway through the just after non-conference play there, really, where he just took it away from Dola. I mean, look, Palmer, you look at Ken Palm's depth chart percentages. 5 guys have been playing in that position over the last 5 games, all of them getting at least 10% of the time, Palmer. That's not a good necessarily. That's not a good thing. This isn't buckyball. This is a slow paced style of play. You should not really have 5 guys playing at one position in the system that Tony Skinn is trying to run.
Yeah, I mean, there's honestly only, I mean, Dola and Sivka are the only true fours, and unfortunately, as much as I love Sivka, you know, it's that might be a 4-year player. He just he just can't be a full time four. He can kind of come in and hit some threes and be a little switchable, but I think Dola can only be your four if you have a plus defensive center on the court. Like he can run there with Konga on the court, but I don't trust him there with a minus there. Uh, Dola, like I said, he's been fine recently. Like he just kind of turned into like a 5-minute energy guy, which is a nice change of pace. But he was brought in to be a starter. I think it's pretty impressive that that's kind of Skin's first portal miss, like through his third season. And I mean, Quigley was a portal miss, but you made it up a lot by Braden O'Connor being being a viable point guard option. And they just kind of missed at the four, and nobody else really kind of stepped in. Nobody really stepped up.
I'm maybe not so sure if I should bring this up, Palmer, but I'm going to bring this up anyway. Mason looked, we were told, other people were told that Mason was going to get a player by the name of Kasim. It's been long enough now. I'm comfortable, I think, saying this publicly. Mason was going to get a player out of the portal named Kasim Watson from Delaware State, who would have been that true backup 4 option. He's 6'9", wing player, good length. He got stolen from us at the last second from UTEP, who offered far more guaranteed starters minutes, as well as believe a payment upgrade for him, which, you know what, that's life. That's how this new world works. That happens. But Palmer, it's not that he's playing at some high elite level at UTEP, but UTEP's not a good team, but he's still a 6'9" guard who's shown some full power forward, shown some solid rebounding numbers, shown some offensive prowess in the CUSA, which isn't that's not a horrible basketball league by any stretch of the imagination. It's just one of those things that you look back on, you're like, man, if we get him in instead of another wing and Presley, Malik's only 6'6". If Malik was 6'8", or we're probably talking about a different thing with him. If he can be that defensive player at 6'8", but he's 6'6", so he can't really play the 4. I'm sorry, Troutman, again, an inch or two taller. We're talking about a different player, but he's not that inch or two taller, Palmer. So you're talking about, not being able to get kind of your true backup 4 option out of the portal. You do kind of wonder when you're in this stretch right now. That's the sucky part about when these things happen, right? That's the shitty part, is that you think about these what ifs. And I can't help you look at him hitting Watson hitting 39% of his threes in conference play in the CUSA. You can't help but wonder, that's probably a guy who could have been effective in this system. So, it's just one of those things I think you have to look at, Palmer, and say, you know what? Them's the breaks. That's part of it, but there's so much other stuff going on that's going wrong right now. It's not just the 4. It's not just Riley's decrease in offensive play. It's not just Corey's decrease in offensive play. It's all 3 of those things really coming to the head at the same time.
Yeah. Kasim, I mean, yeah, and we saw the Trilly Donovan booth in the Discord and the tweet saying, "Hey, Kasim Watson's going to Mason," and then all of a sudden we have notifications on for Christine Watson, and we just see UTEP with a picture of a car, and we're like, that's not good. Uh, yeah, I mean, normally you look back on if you ever look back on like people Mason almost got in the portal, uh, usually it's like, oh wow, Mason really got the right one there. You look, it's like, oh wow, this guy's super inefficient at a lower school, and this is the first one where it's like, man, they almost had him, and I mean, he started off the season insanely bad, and now he just really picked it up. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's part of life sometimes, obviously, Palmer. Like I said, that's just going to be part of this era of college basketball. Just is it is what's going to be. That's life. Obviously, if you want to look ahead, Mason will already have some level of a four player. Shane Pendergrass, as long as Tony Skinner is still here, Shane Pendergrass will be coming here as a freshman. He'll be a four guy. That's exciting. I think he's going to be a very good player at this level. But man, it's just those type of little details, right, Palmer? Those little things that happen in throughout a season and throughout an off season that have an effect that's happening right now. And obviously, Mason has two very important games coming up: away at St. Joe's on Wednesday, at home against St. Bonaventure on Saturday. Palmer, that Wednesday game in particular against St. Joe's. If Mason wins that game, I think they still have a very good chance to back into the top four. They'll have the tiebreaker over St. Joe's. You look at kind of the schedule for the two teams they don't in Dayton and in Duquesne. Dayton I still think is a very shaky team. They have St. Louis, GW away, VCU left. It's very possible, I think, that Dayton could lose 3 of their last 4 games. I don't think it's impossible. They've looked better since their week break. They've certainly changed some things around that have helped them, but Dayton could lose 3 of their last 4 here. You look at Duquesne, they also have an away game at St. Louis. They have an away game at Rhode Island, which has been a very tough place for A10 teams to go to this year. Especially if you're not a bottom 4 team in the A10. Rhode Island's been a very tough place for to be this year. They don't have I don't think they have easy to win home game on Wednesday against Davidson either. If Mason can pull it out on Wednesday in Philadelphia and you have Duquesne and Dayton both fall, Mason has that tiebreaker over Joe's. Dayton would be a game back again. Duquesne would be 2 games back at that point. With the game then coming up against St. Bonaventure at home, which is probably the last game on the schedule that George Mason should win on a 50-50, on a coin flip basis, quite honestly. So this is probably the most critical game of the season so far, Palmer. It's insane that we're saying this after starting out the season 9-2 in conference play, but it's what's happened. The loss to Richmond has kind of just been a downward spiral of effects here.
yeah. I mean, the most important game of the season was the home St. Joe's game, and we thought that was kind of Mason's got it. I mean, they've got the double bye. They can't lose it anymore, and now the most important game is St. Joe's away because Mason didn't really, they were not what now you said 9-2, and now they're 9-5. So I mean, yeah, I mean a win there. I mean, if they don't beat St. Bonaventure at home, none of this matters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This is all kind of assuming they're going to beat St. Bonaventure at home, and we can't assume Mason wins anything right now.
Yes, yeah.
And they have to win. I mean, okay, they have to win both these games. They've got to win one because if they don't win either of these next two games, they're going at VCU and against St. Louis, and that would be what, a 7-game losing streak in the A10 tournament.
Yeah,
That's horrible. That's not gonna happen. Yeah, they have to win both of these. I mean, if they go 2-2 in their last 4, you're feeling okay. Like you're like, man, they kind of backed into the 3rd seed, or 3rd, 4th seed, but they still got a double bye.
At that point, in theory, Mason is probably in the top 4 because you have the tiebreakers over Joe. Again, like I said, I could very easily see Dayton going 1-3 over their last 4 here. It's not impossible. At that point, you just kind of hit it. Again, if you got the tiebreaker over Joe's, just kind of got to hit and hope that Dayton and Duquesne don't overtake you at that point. But I think I don't want to gloss over this, Palmer, because I don't want to talk about the 2 games that much because they've already played both Joe's and St. Bonaventure this year. We've already talked kind of about them in depth. We had SBU unfurled on. We talked about these teams, but that week break, Palmer. Maybe no team in the A10 has needed it more prior to Dayton than George Mason. It feels like they've really needed this break. Dayton had that long break. That seemed to help them a lot. They're 3-0 since the break. You've got to hope that there's something there for Mason, right? You've got to hope that Tony Skinn, resting some of these guys, I hope, maybe putting in some new plays now that they can just have a whole week to build into the St. Joe's game. There's a lot of questions there.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what Mincy's injury is, but it's bad enough that it hurts him, but not bad enough that it keeps him out. You'd hope that maybe they're like putting bubble wrap on him, like, hey, let this give it a week to heal. No, nothing hitting it. You hope it's way better when he comes back. Because I mean that's kind of affecting everything. Like we've pointed out, like Mincy not being 100% really hurts everything. And I mean, yeah, hopefully in the week they can figure out the 4 spot. Because it truly does feel like no matter who they put in, I don't blame Skin for this. It's just because it isn't like there's somebody sitting on the bench that's gonna get put in at the 4 and go crazy. Nobody's taking it, and it's not like I said. It's people are playing that position. Sivka is being asked to do more than we really kind of expected him to. You just hope that like in this week something happens good. Like maybe we get like a little Devin Booker, a little like, oh, he had a great week of practice, and he just a lockdown defender, and it frees up Troutman to score more. It's yeah. I mean, we just don't know. Maybe they're working on stuff with like double bigs where Conga can run the 4 or Ellington can run the 4. I mean, we're running out of stuff to kind of.
Yeah, it's do or not time, right? It's do or
Yeah.
die. It is do or die time. It just is. Look, George Mason will not be playing on Wednesday. They have 9 wins. George Mason will not be playing on Wednesday. Even if they do get to Thursday, they will be a high seed on Thursday and will probably get one of the pillow fight teams. Probably. Not a certainty, but a probably. Mason needs these games, though. They need to show us something. I think critically, they need to show us fight. They haven't showed us fight, really, over the last couple of games. They need to get started quicker. Again, outside of the GW game, really slow starts against both Richmond and Dayton. That were kind of the daggers at multiple points. Obviously, Richmond more than Dayton, but Dayton for sure as well. I mean, look, it is what it is, Palmer. We need more from these guys, and we're not getting it. Hopefully, this week off has given them that time to recalibrate, to recoup, to make some changes. But man, we need to see something, Palmer. We need to see something bad. We need to see it now. And I think that's kind of where we just have to leave it, Palmer. I feel like that's just kind of where we have to leave it. There's really nothing else to say. So with that, we're going to leave it at that, Palmer. We're going to leave it at that for now. I'm Joe Szymanski. He's Palmer Johnson. Mason Nation, we need some wins this week. So we need you guys to come out in droves on Saturday to go support the guys against St. Bonaventure. And we're all crossing our fingers here that this is the week that everything starts to get better. We're crossing everything up from our fingers to our toes to our legs, that this is the week that things get fixed from what they've been the last couple of weeks. But for now, thank you for listening to Onward to Victory, the George Mason basketball podcast by Giant Killer. We will see you guys next week for our last regular season podcast of the year, because Palmer, from Wednesday on, we're 2 weeks from Pittsburgh in the Atlantic 10 tournament. I'll be boots on the ground. I can't wait. Hopefully I see some of Mason Nation out there in the Steel City in my beautiful home state. I can't wait. But thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.